All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to part 4 in the Tools for Schools program that we've done here with the New Hampshire Partners for Healthy Schools, along with our partners over the past 4 months we've done this. So this is the final one. This is number 4 here today, I believe. Am I correct, Marjorie?
No, we got two more after this one.
We got 2 more after this. All right, so we have 2 more.
Just keep coming up with it.
I forgot to tell you about this.
Let's just say we were just got, you wouldn't think that we had any slip ups, but we just got the presentation downloaded right before we went live. So thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate your time and your attendance. Just a few things before we get started is that a copy of this presentation will be sent to you within the next 48 hours to 72 hours, as well as there'll be a survey that will be sent out to you afterwards. And if we just kindly ask you to take a moment to complete that survey, it provides a lot of useful information to the presenters as well as to Property Liability Trust and Health Trust here at LGC. So it gives us useful information to make these programs better for you moving forward into the future. Don't have to tell you where the emergency exits are, so let's move on. And just before I introduce the speakers as well, there's a little box on the side of your panel. You'll see a little orange arrow that is, if it is currently closed, is pointing out. If it's open, it's pointing in. That allows you to communicate with us throughout the presentation. So at any time, if we ask you a question, like using the raise your hand feature, you can press the little hand that says that, yes, indeed, I do have a Tools for Schools kit in my school, and I have used it.
Hopefully everybody has one.
Yes, hopefully. As Marjorie says, hopefully everyone has one because it is mandated by the Department of Education. Is that correct?
Yeah, by law statute.
I did get something right today. All right, we got that. We're heading in the right direction. And then in addition to that, you also have the text box at the bottom of the presentation. If you could take a moment throughout the presentation and provide us with your questions. Hold on a moment. So if you can, Christian can I continue talking?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Our tech guy is making sure everything works. So if you could, throughout the course of this presentation, if you could just take a moment and ask us questions that you have, we will take the time at the end of the presentation to answer those. What we oftentimes find is some of those questions are answered during the course of the presentation. But doesn't mean you won't find something, and we are happy to answer that at the conclusion. This program will be about 30 to 40 minutes with plenty of time to answer questions afterwards. So now I'm going to introduce our speakers. We have Eugene Benoit from the US EPA Region 1. He's based out of Boston at Post Office Square.
Exactly.
Yeah, all right, I got that. And then Marjorie Schoonmaker, who is with the New Hampshire Department of Education. And you have probably heard from Marjorie if you have if you're a principal, right?
If you're a principal or a facility manager, you have heard from me within the last few weeks.
Okay, because you've got to have that done by June 1st or July 1st?
The IAQ has to be done by June 30th.
All right, so and the IAQ is an indoor air quality checklist.
Yep.
All right.
And that's, again, mandated by law.
Mandated by law, and it's a couple pages long?
3 pages long.
3 pages long. So it doesn't take a tremendous amount of time, but it's important for your school to continue to receive funding. Is that correct?
Actually, the reason we did it is so the principals who are technically the owners of the building know what's wrong with the building.
Oh, excellent.
And get to learn where the weak spots are, and we can get a healthier school.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. So I am going to hand the presentation over, and Marjorie, it's all yours. I think you're the first one going on. So.
Yep. Click it. First thing, as you see, you see Sandy's on our webinar, and she cannot be here today. She's actually in the hospital, so we want to send our well wishes to her. And we actually need her for this. But we'll do it. And this has been like an Armageddon this morning, but bear with us. First page, you're going to see some of the New Hampshire Partners for Schools, Healthy Schools. I think we have 11 about it, but it's, if people want to volunteer to be on it, you're more than welcome. We meet once a month for about an hour and a half, and it deals with, as it says, get healthier schools, asthma, air quality, all of that. So if you want to join in, you can either email me or just send a little message and we'll get it.
Yeah, and it includes, those meetings occur here at Local Government Center here at 25 Triangle Park Drive.
Yep. And we want to thank you guys for doing this.
And if you don't know where we are, we're right behind Home Depot in Concord. Everyone seems to know where that is, so
Yep.
we're right behind it with the clock tower. All right. Next slide.
The objectives is very clear. We want to make sure all the schools have the Tools for School kit. Again, that is requirement by law. We want you to get acquainted with it. In reality, we want all the schools to use this kit. There's benefits from it. You can benefit in saving money. You can have a healthier school, which turns around, makes healthier children and better test scores. So that's what we're looking for.
Yes, I read a study not too long ago that said good air quality combined with proper lighting can result in 10 to 15% better test scores. That's pretty impressive, especially in a testing type of environment we live today.
And yesterday I was in D.C. and we had the Green Ribbons Awards, and one of the schools from California actually implemented this, and they saved, I think it was $6.6 million.
Wow.
And their test scores went up 73%.
Yeah, so let's repeat that, $6.6 million and test scores went up.
Yep, so
wow.
There is big benefits from this.
Actually, there's also some fact sheets on our EPA website regarding the benefits of good indoor air quality. So I think we try to list all the benefits there. There's a lot of research going on about that as well. So.
And I think at the end of this presentation has your website information too.
All right. Yeah. And if it doesn't, we will send out an email. We'll send out in the text box a little message to everyone that shows exactly what that website is.
Okay, first thing here is air quality in schools. The no idling policies. Every school should have these signs. I have them in my office. They're signs, or you can get little stickers. You can put on the buses or in windows and everything. But this just basically, as it says, turn off your vehicles while you're in front of the school for the pollution. You don't want this inside your schools where most buses drop off close to the perimeter of the front door. So you got to have these signs, people, and if you don't, they're no cost, so you can email me or send a text and we'll get these out to you.
And Eugene, being the EPA expert, what are the issues with the air intakes picking up some of these exhaust fumes? What do they see in kids when they are exposed to this?
Yeah, I mean, I think the issue with having like vehicles parked close to schools, you have like the local pollution of just like where the kids are standing, but also a lot of the pollution gets re-entrained into the building through the ventilation system. So a lot of the fresh air intakes, are located sometimes right where the buses are parking and so on. And I think our major concern is really, fine particulate pollution. There's also like carbon monoxide. There's quite a few other pollutants, carcinogenic compounds in burnt diesel fuel, and as well as
And if you have a kid that's asthmatic,
exactly,
this compounds it on top of it. So
yeah.
We do try to address it, and we understand during the winter you have to turn on. You should have a spot away from the building where you can warm up all the vehicles. There should not be an issue with that.
Excellent.
And also, I think you're just saving money turning off your engine.
Yes.
I mean, why burn all that extra gas and diesel for really no reason?
And that's the saving part.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Next slide.
Again, requirement of the schools, all your school boards should be making a policies for these idling. You can go to my website. I do have some drafts there that people can borrow and just basically put their names in and everything, and have the state board, school board, sign off on it and make that the policy. And that's for parents dropping off kids, the buses, delivery trucks for the food and everything. So it's got to be implemented for the whole school district.
So Marjorie saved everyone the time from having to create these from scratch.
And everybody had issues. I don't know how to write it. So we did a bunch of them. So you can just pull one and meet your school. Very easy.
Maybe it will save not getting the school lawyer involved. Save you a lot of money.
It does, because they have been vetted through the AG's office. So.
Yeah. So as she said, the Attorney General's office has already vetted these, so they are there and ready to use.
Yep. Okay, this new one, well, it's not new. It's been in place for 3 years now. This is the IAQ checklist. If we have principals on or facility managers on, this should look somewhat familiar for you. This goes out once a year by law. It goes to the principals, or they can designate someone. Usually they designate the facility manager, but in reality, we would really like the school principal to do this form. It's how they learn their building, the issues, what's going on, and everything. They can get their facility manager to walk around with them because, of course, they know the building very well. And it just, you find the weak points in your building. I mean, you should know what policies you'll, in the first section on it. And this, again, this was sent out by SurveyMonkey last month. And you have to June 30th to get this done. Otherwise, I will be hounding you. And by law, you have to have it done, so you don't want me hounding you. But it's just something to get you to learn your building, and it gets you on the step that you can save money on this. It talks about your vents, when do you clean your filters, what policies you have on it. Do you bring dogs in? Do you bring furniture in, which you're not supposed to do? It's just what kind of chemicals you use, what kind of paint you use. It's a very simple form. And if you haven't got it yet, just give me an email and I'll make sure you do get it.
And it is and it's really just, it also gives an opportunity to pinpoint the strengths you have in your school as well.
Right.
You may notice, like, you check that off and you say, well, we don't have any used furniture that someone found on the curb, because that does curbs and yard sales are popular, and they pick, what are some of the risks of having used furniture or any furniture, like upholstered furniture in the schools?
Dust, everything.
Dust, and I think bed bugs.
Bed bugs,
bed bugs, really? Wow.
That is becoming like a big issue. So there's all kinds of things. I mean, there's dander from cats and dogs and parakeets and so on. It might have come from a basement somewhere, and it might be contaminated with mold.
Yep.
You know?
Okay.
And then, who knows?
Fire resistance. Now the fire marshal, if they come into your building, they see that it's not rated, you will literally have to take it out while he's standing there.
Yeah, so I hope you brought your muscles to school that day. All right. Fantastic. Thank you for that information.
And also secondhand smoke. That's something else that
can
gas, so
excellent.
It all depends on the history.
It's nice to get free donations, but we prefer you don't.
Yeah.
All right. Ready for the next slide?
Again, what we just went over, principals or designee, we really would like the principals to do it. We understand that you are so busy, especially this time of year. You have to do it once a year. It's very simple. It probably takes maybe 30 minutes to do it. This says we do it February, and actually I did it in May this year because last couple of years I did it in February, and you had 4 months to play with it, and you just put it aside and forgot about it. So now I give you a shorter time, and I remind you about it, and it's been doing well.
That's what Christian does with my assignments. He doesn't give them to me too early, or they get put aside. So, and again, June 30th, it's sent directly to you. Is that correct, Marjorie?
Yeah. Well, it's a SurveyMonkey link. So
so it's
they
just
go in there,
a
fill it out.
SurveyMonkey link.
Yeah. Make sure you do it. When you fill it out, you keep a copy for your records, one to your health inspector, and your school board member should have a file and kept in a file there. So.
And is it simple enough to print off if they wanted to walk around the school with it?
There's a little issue with SurveyMonkey on that, but if they email it, I can send it to them.
Okay.
And they can have a copy to go walk around, yeah.
So for those of you that want to take that and walk around your building, you can email Marjorie, and she's a very prompt individual, so she will happily get that to you in a timely fashion. Another question I have is this strictly for public schools or private schools? So like if I'm St. Paul School or I'm another one of those schools, do they have to?
No, right now we just have it for public schools because that's who we give money to. So we're just doing that. They are looking to expand it, not next year, but the year after that, to hit all schools.
Okay.
So, which would be nice. I mean, there's children of the state in these schools no matter what. So.
But there's certainly a benefit regardless of whether you're in a private school or not to have a clean environment, because we already talked about test scores and helps them with placement in college.
Yep.
That's for sure.
And that's the biggest thing. I mean, your kids are healthy, they're there, they're learning, and their test scores, as we saw from California, 73% high. You can't beat that.
Yeah, so I guess public schools have to do it, but if private schools wanted to do it, I mean, could they go ahead and...
If they wanted to do, they can email me their email, and I
Mhm.
will, yeah,
Okay.
they can do that. I have no problem, you know. It would be nice to see what they have and what they're doing.
Right, because with the Tools for Schools kit, I mean, we don't just say public or private. I mean,
Right.
it's for any school in the country.
Yep.
So I think that's a tool that certainly any school in New Hampshire.
Yeah, just how the law was written at the
Yeah.
time, it was, they
Mhm.
want to deal with, you know, there's 475 schools, so they just want to deal with those.
Yeah.
But we're really
And it's
concerned
just
about,
me.
yeah, but we're certainly concerned about
Yeah,
all the kids and all the teachers in New
It's
Hampshire.
for
and,
every child in the
so they can avail themselves of that.
Yeah, if you want it, I will send it to you. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
And Eugene will be discussing that in the coming slides about what the Tools for School kit includes and how to obtain one. So for those of you that are worried, I don't have a kit. I've never seen one, or the dog ate it, or you know, whatever has happened, or the kids tore it up. You'll have the opportunity to find out how to get a copy of that, and most of it's available on a disc now, right? You don't even need the big bulky kit we used to have.
Yes, we got both, yeah, and I
Mhm.
sent, all the schools should have the disc no matter what, but I have the big bulky boxes, and
Mhm.
I can get more from Eugene, and they're in my trunk, so when I go to schools, I bring,
Yes,
well, first
there
I
you
ask
go.
for the disc, and they're still in the wrappers.
Mhm.
Please get them out of the wrappers,
Yeah.
they'll make it look good.
But
And
they can
then
certainly
the
go
box.
online if
Yep.
they need to print whatever copies they need of whatever checklists and so on. I can get into that later.
Yeah.
But it's always there,
Yep.
you know.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to the next slide. And
Bingo! And here's what we're talking about, the law. All schools need to have, you don't have to use it, but you at least have to have a copy of this. All schools, not districts, but schools. So when I come to visit your school, first thing I'm going to ask you is, where's your Tools for Schools kit? And a lot of them I'm finding that it's still in the wrapper. Please, just take it out of the wrapper.
Yeah, I should add, I mean, the Tools for Schools kit is a national guide. So,
Yep.
you know, we hope that all schools in the country use this kit. But here in New Hampshire, I think the schools are fortunate in having the checklist, because
Yep.
that really like organizes all the pertinent information
Correct.
that they need to do. And the Tools for Schools kit, I mean, they might be wondering, you know, well, what is the Tools for Schools kit compared to like the checklist? Well, the Tools for Schools kit is really, I think, you know, the tools that you use to help you fill out that checklist. And it's also sort of your ongoing program. You know, when you're meeting in the course of the school year, when questions come up, when issues come up, or just to continue, I think, increasing your knowledge of indoor air quality. I mean, that's what the Tools for Schools kit is. You know, it's a reference guide, but it's also sort of your ongoing knowledge base of information that you need to certainly comply with state, you know, regulation, but also I think it's kind of like a course, you know, you're taking during the school year to really be up on the issues. So that's the way I kind of see Tools for Schools.
And as we said, it can save money in the long run. So
Definitely.
there's always a benefit for this program.
yes,
And we-
absolutely.
Well, health
Had
is
some
foremost.
schools, yeah.
You know, I mean, really, this is all about health.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
about the children and the health of the children. And
Yeah.
we've had schools use part of this program. Laconia is the one I see where they
Mhm.
went in, they did cleaning in there, and
right.
they saw a benefit. So, I mean,
Yeah, and this also fits in with what we were doing earlier with like organizing your classroom and all the other things we've done, you know, in asthma and so on. I mean, I think this all comes
ties into this.
Exactly.
All right, fantastic.
Again, very simple. You all need to have a kit. You can either, you all should have the disc at least. If not, if you want the kit, I have a bunch available. You can go on EPA, download it if you want. A lot of people just want the kit because it has the wheel.
Yes.
We'll tell you, in the kit, it has a VHS tape in there, so.
And we do know some
It's
schools
old.
still have VHS players.
And while it's old, it's got good information on it, so just don't disregard it. But if you need it, call me. I will get it to you.
And here at Health Trust and Property Liability Trust at Local Government Center, we do have a few kits left over as well. So if you forgot your contact with Marjorie, although she's going to make sure you know it, you can always contact your health and safety advisor as well, and there are a few hanging around here. So there's bound to be someone you know in the state who has one that's willing to, just like zucchini in the summer, get rid of it and pass it on to you.
And also, we have kids in our office too at EPA, so
Which I'm going to be
They-
stealing more of.
yeah. So there are plenty to
down
go
next
around,
week.
I think.
Also, I know the principals have this in their office, but if you're a facility manager and you want a kit too, I'll be more than happy to send you a kit too, because they're usually the ones that will get going on this first.
Okay.
So I guess this is my part here. This is Eugene Benoit, the EPA. I'm the Tools for Schools coordinator. I'm the tribal air coordinator. I'm on the regional asthma team. And a big part of my job is working with the Tools for Schools kit. I have been working with this kit since 1995. That's when the kit was first published. And basically, it's a national guide which helps schools figure out what their problems are and how to solve them. So, and New Hampshire, I should mention, was one of the first states in the country to actually implement the Tools for Schools guide. So I think this state has really had a great track record with this particular guide. And I think what we want to do is always try to keep Tools for Schools implementation very simple. And, you know, there's a lot in the kit. I mean, I don't know of any single school that's ever utilized the entire kit, but there's just a lot of resources in there. And I think the whole approach about Tools for Schools is really about communication. I think that's really, you know, probably the strongest aspect about the kit. So basically, this is kind of like the 6 steps that you see in this circle here of what to do. I think the very first thing you do is to organize. You know, we're going to talk about, you know, forming a team and establishing, you know, dates for some meetings, and then communicating what are the issues we're seeing in schools and how we're going to resolve them. Do an assessment, which will be something like doing a walkthrough investigation, and then planning what are we going to do once we find out those results, what actions are we going to take, how we're going to prioritize what we're seeing in the school, do an evaluation, and then this process kind of continues in a circle year after year. So this is, I think, a kind of a wheel that probably goes way beyond Tools for Schools and anything. I mean, this is kind of like an approach you can take in most things, but really the Tools for Schools kit is really about, you know, organizing information, communicating it, just having, you know, all the cards on the table, and then working as a team to resolve problems.
And the biggest thing you see, all of them, they overlap each other.
Exactly, yeah.
And as Eugene says, you need that communication out there.
Mm-hmm.
People, I do hear from schools that say it's going to cost too much money to use this program. It really doesn't. It can be a no-cost thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just, you know, you don't have to go blow the whole thing up and do everything it might suggest, or, you know, you have to strip down your school and rebuild it. No, that's
Right.
not what it's intended for. It's intended to do little things simply and just build on them. And it is 100% volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
which we'll get into later, who will be good people to pull into these
Right.
committees.
I think a lot of the teams that utilize Tools for Schools find that a lot of the solutions are really no cost or very low cost. It's a matter of policy changes. Just the thing about keeping buses parked away from the ventilation intakes. I mean,
Simple
that's,
things.
yeah, it's very simple. That doesn't cost any money,
Yep.
you know. Or maybe just, you know, like when they're cutting grass, sometimes like the unit ventilators are there, and I've seen pictures of where people have cut grass and all of that cut grass is stuck
All
on
over the ventilator,
and
yeah.
It's like,
Can't
okay,
understand why I'm not getting
so
fresh
how
air.
about when we cut grass there, we just point that the exhaust cut grass the other way, you know? I mean, that doesn't cost
Simple
money.
thing.
Those are like policy changes.
Bushes away from the vents, you know, so it allows the air to go in, you know, just simple things.
Because this time of year, you can just watch the pine trees and watch the pollen blowing out of them.
Yep.
And keeping those trees away from those ventilators can make the difference for a
Right.
child or even a teacher who has asthma
Yeah.
and their ability to manage it.
And the thing is, I saw in a couple schools, they had it looks very pretty, the vines growing on the side of the brickwork, but they were actually going in the vents.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm sitting
Yeah.
there going, how many times have you actually checked your vent? I would say not.
But then the unit ventilators are blocked with books. So
Yeah,
it's
with
like,
books. So
Oh my goodness. So you
and
don't
that's
even see
kind of,
that.
that's what this gets you to, you know,
You know.
allow these vents to be open, get fresh air in, allow them to be utilized. Otherwise, you blocking them. The school spent all this money on
Mhm.
these, and you're just wasting money.
Right.
Yeah, and it wears them out over time
Faster,
because
yeah.
they'll break down faster than they were designed to because they're based upon that air being able to flow in and out of the school.
Yeah, and if you see kids sleeping in your classrooms or not paying attention, go look at your ventilators. You might find you're blocking it so the fresh air is not getting into the student to keep them up.
Exactly. So I guess when, folks are like pulling apart their kits and, this is what you're going to find inside the box. You're going to find like basically some background information that, people can read through and like familiarize themselves with, indoor air quality, the specific pollutants we find in schools. I mean, how do we mitigate them and so on. And then there's like specific activities that are associated with the checklists and so on. And
yeah, the checklists, people shouldn't panic from. What is there, 8 or 9 checklists? And there's one for the facility manager, one for the nurse and all. Most of them are only 2 pages. Some of them are only like 5, 6 questions.
Exactly.
You don't have to use them all. Just use what you're going to put this to your school how you want to do it. You know, you don't have to use everything. You can use one thing. You can use them all.
I think during the communication phase of like when you're meeting as a team is to talk about, so what have been like our major issues? What are the things we need to focus on? Then pull those things out of the kit and then let's focus on that for this meeting.
Yeah,
I mean,
start
I think that's
small,
a good,
then go.
Exactly. And so we talked about, like teamwork and building a team and communication earlier. But basically what we want to do is have, a team in place that meets regularly. And, I mean, it could depend on the school team. I mean, it could be anywhere from like once a month to maybe 3 or 4 times in the course of the school year. I think it really depends on like what's going on.
Yep.
If you're planning to put a new roof on your school during school hours and it's like, oh, maybe we need to think about turning off the intake vents that are located near the tar, whatever. Because,
I hope nobody's doing it when school's going. But
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's like an extreme example.
But in common sense,
it happens. And then why don't we like send a memo to the parents and let them know what's going on? Because, if the kids are going to go home and say, school was hard today because there was all kind of fumes in the building or whatever. And then if the parents know, they said, well, they said that would only like last for a day and that, it's like, I mean, even though that shouldn't be happening, I mean, really, this kind of renovation should be happening like when school's not.
But things happen.
And it could head off some of those angry calls you get from parents that are calling in saying, why wasn't I aware of this?
Exactly. So that's why I said communication is really the number one thing. So,
what we do know is you'll still get those because not everyone reads everything that comes home from a child.
Right. But there's like, newsletters that go out. There's always PTA meetings at the school. I mean, I know at my kid's school it's like, if I go to every meeting, I'm like there all the time, So, but anyway.
So would you agree like having someone from a parent-teacher group involved as well as...
we're going to go in a little later. We'll show who should be in it a little bit and who you volunteer on there and everything. So
right. So here's another picture of the kit. There's some checklists, this background, the coordinators forms. I mean, I think it's certainly important to have a coordinator for the team. It could be actually anybody who is, well organized.
A go-getter.
A go-getter, yes.
Yeah, and also on this, sorry people, but there might be a little homework for you for the next step of this because it's going to be 3 steps on this Tools for School kit. So the next one, when you come back, you need some homework done, and it's 5 minutes to do.
Exactly.
So it's not going to be that hard.
Yeah, and one thing that's in the kit are video clips. It's not anything you have to do like the first meeting. In fact, I would sort of wait. Maybe during the first meeting, you can look at like taking action. I mean, basically it shows a team on how they're operating and how they're using the kit and so on. So I think these are videos to kind of schedule during the course of the year and watch them at appropriate times. When you're doing getting ready to do the walkthrough investigation of the school, which is inside of the building and outside, that would be an appropriate time to watch that.
And are those video clips available on your website as well?
I think they are. I know we have CD-ROMs of them.
Yeah, they're on the disc, and and all the schools better have that.
Yeah.
That they can go on there and look at them, and I have seen them.
I think there are actually links to YouTube which have these.
Correct.
Okay.
They are YouTube.
That's where I've seen. I was trying to remember where have I seen, but they were
YouTube.
just on YouTube. So anyway, EPA, we're trying to branch out. Twitter.
Yes, there you go. Wow.
Woohoo!
Exactly. Here is an example of the classroom checklist, and there are, I think, 8 different checklists in the kit, and this is the one that's probably the most useful. I mean, you're certainly welcome to fill it out, but here in New Hampshire, you have your own checklist to fill out. But certainly, this is one good way to perhaps get feedback from the rest of the school. I know I've seen that some schools have actually taken some of these questions, made an email out of it, sent it around to the staff, and just asking, you know, what is your opinion about air quality in your room? Or you think you're getting enough fresh air? Is it hot or cold or whatever? And
Where do you think the vents are? And
yeah,
how many know
exactly.
that?
And then kind of getting that information, because I think the school indoor air quality team would like to certainly know sort of what's going on in the school and basically have buy-in from, you know, all the staff in the school. I mean, I think that's really the important part of the communication that goes back and forth between.
Yeah, where the teachers deal with the students too, they would know.
Right. And so here's where we start talking about building a team and who is a good coordinator. I mean, it could be really anyone. You know, every school is different. But these are the typical folks who can be on the team. And I guess I don't see parent on that. Well,
on next one, and that's what I'm going to say, you can have the PTA on here, parent.
Right.
You also can get volunteers from outside companies that want to spend time and help you on this.
Sometimes provide pro bono services like HVAC. I mean, I've heard all the stories.
Don't forget them. They can be a very big benefit to you guys.
Exactly.
Once you get your coordinator, you need someone really gung-ho for this for the first probably 6 months of it.
Yeah.
To get it really up and going. This is who we suggest, you know, who can be on the team. You can go more or less. Again, outside people, great to be on this. They sometimes has that little benefit of money sometimes on some of this. Not all the time. Definitely parent teacher. PTA, get a parent on there, someone that's always calling the school complaining, you know, this is going wrong, what can we do? And you can turn around and say to them, hey, we have this team, how about you join on it, and hopefully we can solve some of the problems you have issues with.
Right.
I mean, get them involved. I mean, if they're going to call and complain about something, it's the best way to get them, and they're going to see the end results.
Right.
That's a fantastic idea. Turn them from the problem to the solution.
And they'll actually, because they're going to see the solution, they can gather other parents on there and say, hey, this is what we're doing.
Right.
You know,
and sometimes the town or city health department, you know, certainly has a stake in this as well, and sometimes they participate in the meetings.
And they are, and they can tell you too about some of the laws, and it helps.
Right.
Okay, homework.
We talked about homework, huh?
These next, I think it's 6 steps, are a little discombobulated. We kind of changed them since the last time we've met. So step 1, what we said for homework, find a coordinator, first thing. Step 2, form a team. I'm actually not going to push the slides. And step 3, just go over that packet or give them the disc, let them all review it. We're not necessarily asking you to do any of the walkthrough, any of that. We just want you to review the videos and the packet and everything like that. Next time, our next webinar, part 2, you're actually going to be diving into it, and you're going to be doing walkthroughs and stuff like that, and then we're going to get feedback and help you go through this and get this going for your schools.
Yeah, I think I just ran through the 6 steps. I mean, that was a lot of stuff. That's not for like the first homework assignment.
No, it's overwhelming that way.
But I think, you know, between now and the fall, just as you said, Marjorie, you know, identify a coordinator, form a team, you know, between now and the fall, distribute the background, which has, you know, basic information on indoor air quality. And also, I think, you know, we're certainly here every step of the way to help you implement the program.
If you need us, we can, you know, I certainly can come out and help you guys. Eugene, you can get a hold of him, email him, and he can answer some questions. There's enough people, and there's actually the Healthy Schools. We have enough partners there that some of them might be able to come out and help you. But very easy homework. Coordinator, team, and review the information.
Right. And I also wanted to just kind of give an idea of what the year would look like. I mean, I think the very first meeting of the year would be, you know, to have, you know, a team meeting where, you know, we know who the coordinator is, assemble a team, and talk about, you know, indoor air, why is it important to our school, and then start looking at the checklist and determine whether or not it makes sense to actually survey the other staff in the school. If you want to do that, you can certainly use a paper version of the teacher's checklist and the other checklists that are in the kit, or you could actually sit down and maybe call out 5 or 10 questions from the checklist, send that out, and then, give the teachers a deadline, and then by the next meeting, maybe a month later, 6 weeks later, collect that information and then figure out, do we see any, any big issues that have been highlighted? Because what's important about the feedback from school staff is that we want to use this information as a team to conduct a walkthrough investigation. So I think the next big part of what this school team is going to do in the course of the year is collect that information, assess it, and come up with a plan to do a walkthrough investigation. So a walkthrough investigation is really spelled out well, I think, in Tools for Schools kit with the video, and it's basically outside of the school, inside of the school. Were there any red flags that were raised from the questionnaire? Is there anything that that's already ongoing that needs to be looked at?
And a couple of these checklists, like the facility checklists on here, I know you literally can take that paper and walk around the building, and it's very simple. Yep, no, yep, no. So it's very easy. The only thing, it could take a little time, as we said, to get it up and running. But once you get it up and running, it works, and you get healthier kids. You could save money. Okay, save the date. We do have the
We're
next
still trying to save the date.
it dawned on me, actually. In July, we're going to be rerunning this webinar again. So just refresh your memory about I got this homework to do. And I want to say it's July 19th is going to be the second one. And that's going to be talking about the walkthrough, what you're going to have to do, more getting into the program itself. But we'll get that date out to you, the positive date. I think it's July 19th. But I have all these dates right in my head right now. But we will get the date out to you guys, and then we'll also tell you when the third date is too.
Yeah. So I think that's going to go more into what the walkthrough investigation is, a bit more of what do you do with the results from the walkthrough investigation, how do you take action on those findings, and then doing an assessment, and then basically completing that circle that we talked about earlier, and really getting back to communication. So now we have the results. Let's communicate that with parents and staff, and here's going to be what our plans are to fix things or to maintain things and keep things low cost, and basically and the things you might find is that maybe we need to look at our cleaning chemicals in our schools.
Simple green, it doesn't have to necessarily be green, but you shouldn't have bleach right next to lighter fluid.
Exactly.
And it's simple things like that.
Yeah, looking at the storage closets.
He laughs, and that's true.
Right.
He knows about it.
We see them all the time.
Yes.
So.
Right. Do we have outdated things in the school? Any outdated chemicals? Or maybe
pile of books and papers that you don't need from 30 years ago.
Or identifying maybe classrooms that may be a little bit on the cluttered side, and that gets back to what we talked about in previous webinars about maintaining your classroom and making it really IAQ friendly, asthma friendly, and so on. So I think I'm sure all the folks online and on this webinar here, obviously we're all on the same page. I think we all want healthy schools, we
healthy
want
kids,
clean classrooms. We want schools free of asthma triggers.
Because we know no matter what, there's going to be a trigger somewhere. But if we can reduce it,
right.
The benefits. Everybody knows you have to do these tests. Wouldn't it be nice to see the next time we do this test, New Hampshire jumped in percentage how well we did, and it's going to be correlated to this.
So here's our contact information. You see here.
There's the Tools for Schools. I just want to say before that, if you're going to do this, and hope everybody's going to do this, and you get your team, email myself or Eugene who your team is, and then when the next webinar is, we can make sure you guys sign up for it. So your team can be involved in the webinars too and do a little bit more. So.
Excellent.
I just want to point out this version of this contact list, it lists the IQ info hotline. I'm afraid because of budget cuts, sequestration,
what's that?
That number no longer works. So I would say if you need to reach us, use our phone numbers.
Yeah, anybody in New Hampshire, I have them. As I said, they're in my trunk.
Yeah.
So, or if you're close enough to Concord, you can more than welcome come in and you can grab a few.
Exactly.
All right, so I think that wraps up the presentation. Just a quick reminder before we take questions and answers is just want to remind you that a copy of the presentation will come your way. It has all the contact information in there, so for those of you that are hastily writing down phone numbers and email addresses, don't worry, you will get a copy of this presentation to hold on for yourself, as well as a copy of the webinar. The recorded webinar will be coming your way as well, so you'll be able to share that information, a link to the webinar. They'll be in about 2 weeks? 2 days. 2 days. Oh, 2 days. Christian is our tech guy in the back, and he is he's our silent partner. He makes sure that everything runs smoothly. But he said in 2 days you will receive a link with the recorded webinar, so you can share it with people that you had wished they could be here today but were unable to due to for any number of reasons. You know, you can share it with your friends, but it's a great tool for you to have. And then lastly, we want to say thank you for being here today.
I'd like to thank you guys for hosting this.
Absolutely. It's
great.
Not a problem at all, but it's immensely appreciated that you've taken the time to think about schools in your school district and how important it is for kids to have a healthy environment.
I have a couple questions. Maybe some of you can, I don't know, we can do a raised hand here.
Well, we have, they type in the questions and I get the questions.
I have
so you've got some questions. All right, so Marjorie's got some questions. So the raise your hand feature is Marjorie's going to ask you some questions, so go right ahead, Marjorie.
Out of everybody on here, who currently is using Tools for School Kit? That's the first question. We can answer that.
So press the little hand button if
you're using it.
And you will find that on that dialog box that is up in your right-hand corner.
I love to say everybody is, but
I am seeing no hands at this point.
That's not surprising.
Oh, we got one.
Woohoo! Who's that?
All
right. Okay.
So what's the next question?
How many think they're going to use this Tools for School Kit, the program?
All right. So for those of you that are still out there, how many intend to use that? 1, 2.
I want to see 10.
I see. I saw 2 hands. And any more questions, Marjorie?
The ones who didn't raise their hands, would it help you to use this kit if we came out and went through with you a little bit? Sometimes hands-on does help a little bit more.
I see 1 hand.
That's fine. And, you know, I know we don't have...
Not 2. There we go.
We don't have everybody that this needs to hit, but hopefully me sending out reminders to some of the districts and everything, we can get more people on it. And the new people that do it, to sign up and actually start using this kit, you might be for next year, after you do this program and show the savings and everything, that, you know, we can use you as a pilot for a new school wants to do and say, hey, look what the school did and how they can save, and use you as an example.
Excellent. So we did have one question, but the question was answered already, and it was, are private schools mandated to have a Tools for Schools kit in their building or to fill out the survey? And we answered that already, saying that currently under the state law they are not required.
No, for either one, but I'm more than happy to give you a kit. And if you want to do the survey, I would like to see what your answers on it, and I can just email your email and I'll send it out to you.
Excellent. And I believe that is it. I don't see any more questions coming in. So we can conclude this webinar. So we want to thank everyone for participating today, and have a absolutely wonderful, enjoy that wonderful weather out there, minus the extra pollen that's in the air.
Or the 90-degree weather.
Or the 90-degree weather. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.